Welcome to Podsdale, brought to you by the City of Scottsdale. Join us to explore the stories that make our city a world-class community.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Podsdale. I'm Greer.
And I'm Gail.
And today we're exploring the cultural significance and rich heritage of the American West, right here in Old Town Scottsdale.
We're joined today by a really special guest. This is Todd Bankofier. He is the CEO and Executive Director of Western Spirit, Scottsdale's Museum of the West. This Smithsonian affiliate museum is home to some incredible exhibitions and is about bringing Western art and history to life. I've been there recently. It just had a birthday. I had a birthday. It's younger. Let's just say it has gorgeous, gorgeous artwork, and it has an incredible art display right now of movie stuff. So it's a great place to go.
Yes. Todd,
I know I was off script.
No,
I'm sorry.
You're good. Todd is
I love it. Let her just keep going.
Todd's joining us to provide insights into the museum's newest exhibitions, elaborate on its mission, and share how it illuminates the stories of the West for both locals and visitors alike.
You know, Todd, let's dive in because I really liked what I saw there. It's such a beautiful museum inside and out, but where are you located? For anybody who says, I've never even heard of this place, where is this? They may have walked by and not known what you guys are and how you guys all got started.
Well, you'd said earlier that we're a young museum. We're only 11 years old. That has a little bit to do with why people don't still understand where it is. But quickly, we're in Old Town Scottsdale in the Arts District, 1 block west of Scottsdale Road on 1st Street, just to sort of give it a direction. But it's in Old Town, and it has been there just for 11 years. And so lots of people that just come from out of town or that live here and drive down to that sort of sector of the Old Town area go, what? Did this just happen? I get people that walk in and go, how did you just build this a couple years ago? No, we've been here 11 years, but that's still, in comparative to the other museums in our valley, the Herd is 98 years old,
Wow.
and Phoenix Art Museum is about 67 years old. And so they've been here. People know about them. And so that has something to do with it. But we're on this podcast, so I hope there's some people out there right now that have a strong interest in learning about the American West.
I say it's one of those things to do when it's 110 degrees outside and you don't want to stay home.
Perfect.
They have AC.
Yes, they do. Can you share a little bit behind the vision of the museum and what it takes, or what makes it unique to Scottsdale's cultural landscape?
Let me just share the new vision statement because we just finalized it about a month ago.
Please do.
We've had one for 10 years, and we said we need to update this a little bit. So I'm just going to read the vision statement. Western Spirit, Scottsdale's Museum of the West aspires to be trusted and dynamic institution where the art and culture of the North American West is studied and reimagined, shared, expanding public understanding, and shaping the future of Western storytelling. Now, you notice I said North American West. In our last vision statement, it was talked about the 19 Western states. And we said, we tell much broader than that because there weren't 19 Western states when people were migrating west. There were no lines of states or even countries. So we say North America, and the western half of it is really where we tell our storytelling because a lot of people migrated from what was then what is now Canada, but was part of North America. There was no line that demarcated us between Canada and the U.S., as well as Mexico. A lot of migration happened from Sonora individually, where the Spaniards and the Mexicans were domiciled there for a number of years and started to migrate south or north, and found themselves in Arizona, kind of went towards the ocean in L.A. and migrated all the way up to San Francisco, is where we've received millions of Latinos over the years. That is how the first migration of Latinos happened. And so that's a story we tell at the museum. Stories of the American West. A lot of people don't know that, but the Latino people come in and they just get crazy about it. They're like, now I understand this whole thing, how it all took place.
Picking up with that, you were talking about storytelling. You say storytelling is really important for you at the museum. Why is that?
It really is the connection that people make to the museum. No offense to the artists that because they build the creation of something that allows stories to be told. And we bring those stories out of those art pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just the art, it's the stories that go with the art. And the artists start the process, but we sort of tell the stories. And so we train our docents incessantly about how to tell the truthful stories of each one of these pieces of art. And we do. We don't hide anything. We talk about the cultural warfare between the Anglos and the indigenous people as people were migrating across the United States. Lewis and Clark's stories are just endless.
Oh,
Endless.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt, like one day I hope you tell his story, because
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt is one of those presidents I find endlessly fascinating. He's so different than what we would expect from a president today.
Yeah. Well, we went with John Muir into the forest for 3 days as when he was president, and the country didn't know where our president was for 3 straight days. They were camping in Yosemite.
And think about it. The last time somebody did it, he had to give up his political office for completely different reasons. But yeah, it's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
The Old West is just something that draws people in time and time again. Can you give us an overview of some upcoming exhibits that people could look forward to seeing if they have a fascination with the Old West, or they've never even taken time out to
Yeah.
look and see what is this Old West stuff people are looking into that I've ignored all my life?
Well, let me first say this, that we're the Museum of the West, not the Museum of the Old West, nor the Museum of the New West. We're the Museum of the West. So we have exhibits that go back to 1300s
Yeah.
all the way up to present day. So it's not just the Old West, and that's important. Answer your question, Gail, is we have currently, and you just mentioned it a minute ago, the Still in the Saddle exhibit, which features a sort of a journey of the cinematic movies from 1969 to 1980. That was a range of 11 years that showcased some of the best Westerns ever. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, you know, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. The just great Outlaw Josie Wells, just such great Western movies. And a lot of that was reflective of what was going on in society. They came out with all these great sort of upbeat Westerns, and then the Vietnam War ended, and the country was in a bad place, and you started to see some Westerns that showcased sort of kind of a pushback on the happy-go-lucky Westerns, and some darker Westerns came out. So it showcases what really took place. And so it's not only, you know, a great place to just remember great moments at the drive-in or at a movie theater that you remember seeing some of these great Westerns back in the day, but it's also a remembrance of why those movies came about. Society has a big impact on the
Definitely.
kind of movies come out in the
You know what else?
during that
Greer?
term.
You know what else? It's cool is that being a film critic, it's really interesting to see some of the costumes. Like some of the costumes you see that is like, you think this guy, oh, what a dreamboat. And I'm like, I don't think I could squeeze into those leather chaps he was wearing. And then you see John Wayne's costume. That was a big fella. It's probably easy to be scared up against that guy. You know, he's staring at you and acting with a shotgun. He's a big guy. You can actually see those things and kind of feel. And you have they have the films going off.
Yeah.
They have scenes going off in the museum. It's
Yeah,
just, it's really nice display.
You learn the sides of some of these actors by looking at their clothes. Like
I have stared many of them in the eye and been quite surprised.
they're not the same size they look on in a movie theater.
Oh, but they still have that magnetism. I don't want to take that from them.
Robert Redford's jacket that's in our museum.
God rest his
people
soul.
look at that and go, "Did somebody shrink that, or what'd they do?"
Of those upcoming exhibitions, is there any standout pieces or themes that you think visitors should look forward to?
Everybody connects to something different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We tell stories. That's why we really believe that, and we've trained close to 75 docents that we have on board that are volunteers at our museum, and we train them really, really well. We have a great director of education, Wade Weber, who does such a great job with his team, training these docents to bring out the emotion in each one of these art pieces. So you asked the question, what sort of
Sure.
emotes me or the people the most? it's to the eye of the beholder.
Totally.
It really is. I've been here for 3 years. We've seen some of the most amazing exhibits in a long time, but we've seen everything from digital art, which showcased in our museum 2 years ago, where you have screens that change from one piece of art and evolve from a tribal leader to an Indian to a Native American woman on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
But it has a story to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pretty amazed at that, but this guy, Tom Gillian, came from Disney and was a fantastic artist. Fell in love with American West, lives in Montana now, good friend. And he just got captured in the whole idea of, I want my paintings to evolve because of his Imagineering background at Disney.
Yeah.
And people would just sit there for 40 minutes and watch him just keep moving around and just don't say a word. And it was an interesting time.
What about the Eddie Basha collection?
Well, I was just going to get to that. One of the great excitements that we have going on is on March 28th, we are opening up a brand new expansion of 12,000 square feet.
Yep.
And one of the 4 new exhibits, like the entire top floor, will be the Eddie Basha collection. They donated that to us in 2022. Eddie was an avid collector of Western art, built great relationships with the artists, and we call it the Howdy Pardners exhibit, where it's all about partnerships. And Eddie talks, and we're going to showcase this, how he helped these artists in a lot of ways because they were good, and he knew they were good. And so they built partnerships, and he has you'll see a lot of letters between the artist and Eddie Basha.
Oh, wow.
That'll be on the
That's
walls
super
that
cool.
people will be able to read, and how he helped them along. And you have a great exhibit. It's called Working Partners, the Eddie Basha collection, and we're grateful to have it. And it talks about the partnership between Eddie and his artists. And there's the usual relationship between the horse and the cowboy. That's going to be showcased in there as well. But I really appreciate the fact that Eddie had such a strong partnership with his artists. And that's what's so important about Working Partners.
Wow. So this is a big opening. It's been highly anticipated. How does the museum prepare for an opening like this? Are there any interesting behind-the-scenes stories or challenges that you guys have faced?
Well, first of all, when I joined the museum, they didn't exactly explain to me that I was going to become a construction manager.
You're like, you're going to do quite a few things here.
Yeah, so I put my construction hat on, and my team bought me a cowboy hat that was a hard hat. And I would walk out there every day and started from scratch, and it took 1 year and 8 months to build that 12,000 square feet right onto the existing building. So they had to cut the internal walls out and open it up and build it right next to in the back side of the museum. You don't see it in the front. It's only in the back. But it's 12,000 new square feet of exhibit space that we're excited about. And we find ourselves going through that process. You start thinking about, well, how is this place going to accept guests and tour people from out of state and just everyday people in a different way 10 years from now? So we were always thinking, let's think about how we do this for somebody that's going to show up here 10 years from now. So we built things a little bit different, but we laid down wood floors. As you know now, we just have these beautiful cement floors, which works great in a Western museum, but we added a little touch of Western wood to our floors in the 2 exhibits.
That's nice.
Yeah, so that's just a little, nobody's been able to see a lot of it yet. We're keeping it kind of quiet, but it's being curated as we speak. All 4 exhibits are well underway, and we have 3 weeks left till we open up on March 28th.
Yeah, we're patiently awaiting.
Yeah, is there going to be like a special event, a gala? What's going on?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. We're going to have a block party right out in front of the museum. We're shutting down Marshall Way.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
We got a band, food.
I wonder what kind of band it is.
Not rock.
Wow, what are our choices?
Yeah, great band out front, food, and we have people that are going to be displaying painting art on big, huge canvases.
Like live?
Live.
Wow, that's exciting.
We have a couple guys that have got some rope tricks. We got Native American hoop dancers. So the street will be full of things going on, and it's all free. Admission to the museum is free all that day. We're opening up the Lewis Sands IV Center. That's the 12,000 square feet. Mm-hmm. Sands Chevrolet owner, Buzz Sands, the donor that gave us the money to build that 12,000 square feet.
Well, that was generous. That's nice.
And we fundraised for another $5 million, so we raised $17 million to build that 12,000 square feet, and then do some upgrades in the existing part of the museum to give it a little bit of a refresh. Like our theater, we redid that, and so we will have that opening. Cut the ribbon on the 24th, and then on the 25th, the artists will have their own private tours, and then on the 28th, we have the big block party out in front where everybody is in the community can come. Free admission, food, band.
Party.
Honey Girl is the name of the band.
Ooh.
Just remembered it, and they're a great Western band.
So how does the museum engage with local artists and schools? Because obviously it's not always the big gala, the big opening.
No.
After a while, it's been there a while.
Yeah.
So how do you engage with the community, year round?
Well, we do events at our museum now. They weren't doing them at the museum for a while, and when I showed up, I said, we have such a beautiful facility. Let's figure out a way to raise money for the museum by having events here. And so a lot of corporations, a lot of organizations now reserve our sculpture garden and our theater and do events. We've done plenty, but what's probably most important to me is what we do from an education standpoint. We not only educate the adults, as we've been talking about here for the last 15 minutes, about telling the stories of the American West, but we bring, last year, close to 5,000 students to our museum over the course of a year, and we educate them. Usually that's fourth graders all the way up to eighth grade, but we find out where they are in their curriculum, in their history classes, and we bring them to the museum at the time that they're actually studying either migrations west or Indian and Anglo culture differences, or how ranching and gold mining and all the different things that became industries out west started to build. If that's where they're at in their history books, we bring them at that point. So a lot of the Scottsdale Unified School District, Scott Menzel's been great in bringing his schools to our museum. We appreciate that. And we also do schools from all over the state, from the reservations up north down to Tucson. They bus them up here. We help them with their bus fare a little bit because we know that's expensive. We get grants, and so we tell people if you need help with transportation costs, we'll help you get here because we want you to come to this museum. The teachers are overwhelmed at how much it helps their students connect to what they're studying currently in their history books about the West. They see it, they hear it from a docent tell these amazing stories, and it's just part of our educational process that we find to be so important. And to me, that's one of the things I'm just most proud of, is the fact that we can really educate our students and have them connect. And not only from a learning standpoint, but it also sparks imagination. We really feel like this is where we find our creative children. Somebody that sees all this art and goes, oh, I love to paint. I'm going home tonight and pulling my paint out and start painting again, because they see stuff and it sparks their imagination. And we feel like if we can just do that to numerous kids, the future of art continues.
You know what? That sounds like adults. I'm pulling out my finger paints again, and I'm going to finger paint my way into the museum. I think that's wonderful that you inspire kids and grown-ups too.
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely important.
That's the kind of field trip I want to go on. I wish I could go back to school so I could take a field trip to the Museum of the West.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, we bring them there. We break out in 6 different sections. We don't take the whole class through the whole place. We break out, and they go to each different area, and we put them down on the ground on the carpet or on the cement, and we put even fake campfires in the middle, and the docent sits there with them and tells them the story.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's some good programming you got there.
How do you see the museum evolving in the next few years? I know obviously you're focused on what's happening here at the end of the month, but how do you see the museum evolving?
Well, I think it's about making sure that we stay relevant as it relates to the exhibits that we have. We have permanent exhibits. I don't want to say they're completely permanent, but we change things out. We continue to revolve stuff. Like when the Eddie Basha, he gave us 1,300 items, and so we're going to need to revolve a lot. But that'll be a permanent floor for the Eddie Basha collection. But our traveling or our revolving exhibits that come, and usually they're for about 9 to 12 months, we need to bring things that are going to be different. Mm-hmm. And so we're constantly looking, as I talked about, what is it like 10 years from now when people walk through here? And we're the Museum of the West, not the New West, not the Old West.
Just the West.
So for an example, we have a lowriders exhibit coming up in 2027, car art.
Oh,
wow,
cool.
That's gonna. I don't know how you're gonna fit those in, but I'm from California, so I definitely am used to lowrider shows. So that'll be amazing.
But it's got a whole cultural part to it.
Totally.
Yeah. The
Absolutely.
culture itself, it emanated out of New Mexico. That's where it all began, but it's now across the entire western United States.
Now that I did know. I thought it began in California, but you know how we Californians think everything revolves around us, and it didn't.
That's usually Texas.
And meanwhile, Alaska says, Texas, you're so cute. We're bigger.
Yeah, we're bigger.
Okay, I have a silly question. You said that the Eddie Basha collection, you said 1,300 or 13,000?
1,300
Okay.
items.
When you have stuff out on the floor, where do you store the rest of the art?
We have a storage facility in the vicinity.
Okay.
We're not going to say where.
Yeah.
It's Fort Knox.
But it's actually a resource center where people can go in and look at some of our, it's called kind of open storage, where we can bring out pieces and people need to do, kids,
Historians,
students,
grad
parents,
students.
grad students all need to, so it'll be open to the public as well.
Spoken
cool.
as a grad student who's done stuff like that, I get it. It's like, oh yeah, you could get to it if you ask very nicely.
Very
and
nicely, yeah.
Write a request.
Yeah.
You know, I know that all of the art pieces are special to you, but is there one that's particularly a favorite?
Can't say there is.
I knew it.
I mean, I'm a cowboy. I grew up on a cattle ranch and came down here to go to business school and have been in business enterprises here for the last 40 years, but still ride and still enjoy the horses. And when I showed up at the museum when I first started, there was Scott Baxter did a 100 Arizona ranches picture exhibit upstairs that I walked into, and I swear to God, I thought I just had arrived at home again.
Wow.
It was pictures of all these ranches across there, 100 of them. One was Sandra Day O'Connor's, and pictures of all the people that work on them. So I remembered my ranch hands. I remember my family members. I remember the horses. I remember the fences. I remember the irrigation. I remember the baling the hay. I remember all the pictures that he took, and I thought, I really need to be here.
Wow.
This is my home. So that meant that it brought a little misty to the eyes that day.
Yeah.
When I first saw that exhibit, because I thought, oh my gosh. Because I had been down here in Tempe wearing flip-flops and at ASU and going, oh, I don't have to get up at 4:30 in the morning and feed cattle anymore.
And that, folks, is how you make a grown cowboy cry.
Okay, Todd, if a visitor could spend only a limited amount of time at the museum, is there something that they shouldn't be missing, something that they have to hit on before they
Well, go to westernspirit.org and look up the exhibits, because the ones that are temporary, you're going to want to come and see.
Yeah.
Because they won't be there that long. The permanent ones, you can come back and see if you're in limited time. But if these people that are here watching baseball, we tell them all, get to the museum by 11. Spend an hour and a half, and then walk over to the baseball game at Giant Stadium.
Yeah, well, and that's the nice thing about your location is you're in the heart of Old Town Scottsdale.
Yeah,
so you can
park once.
Yep.
Yeah, and be able to grab a quick hour and a half, see the majority of the museum and then head over to the ballpark. It's a great day.
I mean, you touched on it a little bit, being growing up on a ranch. How is your connection as a former rancher, or still, I guess, it's in your heart. You're still a rancher at heart. How has that informed your leadership at the museum?
Well, I think I have an appreciation for the sort of the cowboy lifestyle. It's unique and it's changing, and my cousins are still doing it, so I get to hear the stories continuously. And it's tougher. It has a lot of sort of bureaucracy involved in it now. It's used to be able to let your cattle run over through the federal lands in the private areas of around their ranches. That just doesn't get to happen anymore. So you've been reduced down to sort of the land that you own, and if you do it on federal land, it's got restrictions to it as how often you can have and how many cattle can be out there and all that. But it makes it tougher to sort of be a business anymore as a cattle rancher, because we used to bring cattle in and sell them at auction, and that was a good portion of the money that my parents made and my grandparents made when they were on their ranches. So it has a deep meaning to me, and like I said, I got a little misty-eyed when I walked into that 100 Ranches exhibit when I first showed up at the museum. It reminded me a lot of what I went through. And, when you do it, you don't know anything different like anything else in life. When you grow up, you think, yeah, this is what everybody does. Work for an hour and a half, come in, eat everything that's on the table that you could possibly eat fast, and then get your clothes on and walk a mile to the bus stop and get on a bus and go 16 miles to a little school out in the middle of nowhere. And you just think that's what everybody does. But when I showed up here to go to the university at 17 years old, my eyes were like, what?
Yeah, that's a culture shock for sure.
Big time change coming to Arizona.
My parents almost bought a dude ranch when I was a kid, and I just wonder what my life would be like, because I used to love horseback riding, and I'm wondering, would I have ever left? Would I have ever gone to Berkeley and become a journalist, or I'd probably still be on the farm, because I loved farm animals. And so I can see what I've missed in your eyes. So thank you for curating such wonderful, wonderful events and exhibitions that people can check out to see, what would my life have been like if I lived back then, or if my parents had bought that dude ranch and all that interesting stuff.
Well, we're grateful to the city of Scottsdale, because they do own our building, and we're in partnership with them. And so we couldn't do it without the city, so we're very, very fortunate to have them as our partners, and it's a perfect match. I mean, we're the most western town.
Yeah,
Where else should the Museum of the West Smithsonian be?
Certainly,
where else should it be?
Well, before we head out, where can visitors find more information about hours, tickets, all that good stuff?
westernspirit.org. That's the place.
That's an easy website. I'm glad it's not the full name, because that would be
a long URL.
No one would type that out.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we head out?
Well, I just appreciate the time to be here. I think it's important that where we started out was people that haven't been there yet. This is one of those places that is iconic and has such a meaning to you as a Westerner, if you're from the West. We do have people that 50% of the people that come to our museum are from out of state, believe it or not. Experience Scottsdale does a great job marketing our museum across the world. And we've had people from all 7 continents. We're proud to say that. People from Europe come, and they're like, we watch Yellowstone every Wednesday night.
Boy, the penguins of Antarctica, too.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah. And they are just like, we're in love with the American West. We just can't wait to come here. And so it is a yearning for people that really, once they've come once, then they're like hooked. And so I just invite everybody to please take a moment, learn where you live. If you are part of the Western United States, come to the Museum of the West, learn about how we came together, and know that you're going to walk away with some emotional connection that will allow you to come back many times again.
Well, the 28th of this month, March, is the perfect time to go because free admission, correct?
Free admission on March 28th. That's a big plus. Yes.
And a block
Thanks,
party.
Greer.
Amen.
Sounds like.
Yeah, and food and all that, and
Yeah.
dancing, all the good things. Todd Bankofier, thank you.
My pleasure.
So much. Yeah, he's the CEO of Western Spirit. We thank you for joining us.
Thank you so very much. Appreciate it. Great time.
That's all for this episode of Podsdale. If you enjoyed listening, be sure to subscribe. You can find us on YouTube or in your favorite podcast app. Share episode ideas and provide your feedback by emailing communications@scottsdaleaz.gov. Thanks for listening.